Welcome back to the Real Power Podcast. Today we got an awesome guest, Tiffany Hilbert. She is the team leader of Team Hilbert, top-ranked real estate team here in Monroe County. She's a real estate investor. She's just a fun person to be around. I'm excited to have her on and hear about her story. And Tiffany, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Let's start from the beginning. What got you into the whole entrepreneurial world? Were you always an entrepreneur growing up, or how did your story begin?
Well, my dad's a self-employed veterinarian. So I watched my dad build his business from the ground up. So I was always around that entrepreneurial spirit. Mm-hmm. I actually wanted to be a veterinarian when I was growing up. I worked with him for like 8 or 9 years as a kid. And then I met my husband at St. Bonaventure, and he got into real estate back in 1987. And we were together, and I was like, that's kind of cool. So in 89, I started a real estate rental company called the Roommate and Apartment Network.
I saw that.
Yep, it was pretty crazy. It was very cutting edge. My first computer was an SE30 Apple. I don't know if anybody, I'm really dating myself, but that was a box computer like this. It had you had to use
OG
a floppy.
boxes, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I designed some software where I can match up potential roommates and help landlords find tenants.
Cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a lot of fun.
Did you do the coding like yourself for all that?
Yeah,
or?
I'm trying to remember the software that I used. It's something very simple and easy that Apple had put out, or Macintosh at the time had put out.
Yep.
FileMaker it was called, actually. Okay. Yep. And it worked really well. I had a great time with that. But, I had a couple kids, and in 95, it just became really evident that I could not still be a great mom and be a great business owner. So I actually sold my business to one of my clients. She wanted to buy it. Sold it to her, and off I went to be a full-time mom for a bunch of years. And that was pretty great because, you never get to get those years back.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. So I was with my kids full-time. My husband was out selling real estate like a lunatic. I manned the home. We had a great working life environment together, right? Like I managed everything at home, and he managed the financial side of things. So it was great. I could concentrate on, hanging with my kids and having that time with them.
And that's the most important thing in life.
Sure.
It really is. So what year then did your husband start Keller Williams here?
We opened in 2009.
2009. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So prior to that, it was Hilbert Realty, which his dad and his sister opened back, my goodness, late 70s, early 80s. Chuck started selling real estate in 87 right out of Bonaventure.
Okay.
And Chuck's always been very visionary, so he could see the writing on the wall in, I'd say, like 2002, 3, 4, 5, something like that. He was looking at a bunch of different franchises and really studied the KW model for a bunch of years. And I just remember us hanging out in our pool one day. He's like, you know what, Tiff? The wheel wasn't broken. Things were going okay, but, the internet had just started, the web. I know I'm really aging myself, right? But it's true. And he's like, I'm liking this KW model. I think it looks really, really cool. He thinks, I think I want to bring it to Rochester. I'm like, all right, well, let's give it a try.
Yeah.
Right? I've always trusted his entrepreneurial spirit. He's been an entrepreneur his whole life as well. And off we went.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I've heard like KW specifically, they're very great at training their agents on the business model of real estate versus just being a real estate agent, because we know that like, it takes a lot to be a successful real estate agent.
For sure.
Maybe talk about like what the kinds of training and what you guys offer at KW that makes you different from other brokerages.
Well, I think what's amazing about KW is we give back. In our office, you'll never see doors necessarily closed. It's open door policy. Mm-hmm. People within the company share their secrets, share their trade secrets, what they do, how they've gotten to where they are, and they want other people to succeed. KW is actually a training and consulting company disguised as a real estate company.
Oh, really?
Right. It's in the top, I don't want to misquote, but we were one of the top training companies in the United States at one point. It's all about faith, family first, then business, and we teach our agents to build a life worth having and a business worth owning. I really try to emphasize that with our team as well. One of our team mottos are happier, healthier, and wealthier with Team Hilbert. So the thing that's great about being with a team per se, or being with a brokerage that gives a lot back to their agents, is that we are like a family. And if you're going through a rough time and there's something going on that's, just kind of not jiving with you well, there's people that are there that are going to be able to pick it up. You just go take care of what you need to do, and the rest of us will take care of your business where it lies. KW has been absolutely life-changing, not only for ourselves, but for so many different agents that have come under the KW brand.
Well, that's huge. And I think a lot of agents, newer agents, they need that sense of family and mentorship and training in the beginning, because those are the years when like you really decide, because I don't know what the percentage of agents that don't make it in the first like two to 5 years or something.
Right, right.
So having the resources at your disposal in the beginning is so crucial. And I just want to praise you guys, because I've seen like your brand and the things you promote, and it's really great.
Training's everything, right? And I mean, there's a lot of hubbub going on right now about the whole NAR thing that's coming out, right? There's some agents that are absolutely freaked out. I mean, that's all they're focusing on.
Yeah, what's your opinion on that?
No brainer. It's a piece of cake. You just have to learn the scripts. We've been practicing the scripts for so long. I had a client, a seller last week, ask me about it, and I just flipped it in such a way where it made so much sense to them. They're like, well, of course that makes sense, right? I mean, you just have to understand what it's all about and just kind of take it. And the big thing is, what I've always told my team is the person that has the most power is the listing agent, because the seller is listening to the listing agent, period. So you better have a good relationship with that listing agent. That's going to help you in the long run, how you're going to win an offer, especially when you're going up against 20, 30, 40 other offers. We can't control the narrative of what a listing agent has with the seller, just like we can't control a narrative between a buyer's agent and their buyer.
Sure.
And that's a big piece that I talk to a lot of sellers about. I'm like, look, we can't control what that buyer's agent is saying to that buyer, how they're spinning any of this in any direction. All we can control is what we present, and we want to set you up for the best success.
Yeah, definitely. Bring it back to your talking about your team. I saw that you guys do company mid-year retreats. Is that correct?
We do, yeah.
Talk about those. Where do you guys go?
We go to different places. We were renting a cottage on Canandaigua Lake for a few summers during COVID, so I would have the whole gang down to the cottage, which was pretty fun. Then we go out on the boat. Yeah. This past year, I can't even remember where we were. Oh, we were in the office because the place we were going lost power that morning, so that was a quick pivot and change. That's just kind of a mid-year, like, let's regroup, let's take a look at where we're at, what our successes have been, what our failures have been, what do we need to line up to ramp up to crush the rest of the year. Our big mid-year, our big advance, I like to call it our team advance, that's our planning event that I normally host end of October, beginning of November. That's normally like a 2-day event, and we really emphasize and focus on what we did great this year, what we want to do better next year, and what our individual goals are for next year. I allow everybody on the team to set their own individual goals as far as unit goal, transactional goal, volume goal, and I help them understand what it's going to look like to actually get to those numbers. I give them kind of the mathematical whereabouts and the path as to how they're going to get to it. And then I take all that and I culminate it, and that's how we come up with our team unit goal and volume goal.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about our SWOTs, our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Yep.
I send out a huge questionnaire to everybody on the team. It's like a survey, and I ask for the really honest opinion in probably 15 to 18 different categories about the team. And they each tell me what they think our strength is, internally and externally, as well as our weaknesses, what our opportunities are, what our threats are. And that really helps me better understand where everybody's coming from,
Gauge
and
it,
also to kind of share it and bring it together so we're all on the same page.
Yeah, I love that. And you're really taking into account the team's opinions and everyone's what they think, so that it's not just you making decisions, right? It's the whole team as a whole in a unit.
I really, really strive to do that. Every once in a while, I'll get a little pushback. People, they're like, I don't feel like my voice is being heard. Well, you got to open your mouth in order for me to hear your voice, right?
Sure, yeah.
So, I'm not a one-man band. I don't necessarily want to make the final decision. I mean, the buck stops with me, but I consider everybody on my team a business partner. I'm not going to be in this forever. I'm actually looking in the next couple of years to kind of phase myself out. I don't want to grind anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I think that we've got a well-oiled machine. We're scalable. We're duplicatable. We've got great back-end support, and we're pretty forward visionaries, looking forward and constantly, striving to be better than the next, and the next.
Yeah. Well, that's really inspiring, because as myself being a business owner, I'm trying to do the same thing, not just because I know maybe I don't want to do this forever, but I want to cultivate leaders in the organization that can be duplicated and have a hiring process and a training process and being able to build a real business versus just a job. So
I personally think hiring is the worst part of being an owner.
it's hard.
Of a business owner. It's so hard.
What is your best tip?
Well, I mean, so Keller Williams, we have what's called a KPA, which is a Keller Personality Assessment, which is such a huge, strong tool. And I require everybody to take that prior to me even sitting down or considering to sit down and talk to them. I want to really understand what makes them tick. It's not the end all, but it gives me a great starting point. I also believe highly in the DISC assessment as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to know the person's personality. How am I going to win? How am I going to lose? How should I be talking to that person, right? Are they a high D, a high I? You know, are they compliant? Do they like to be systematic? I mean, I'm very straightforward. I'm the highest D that you ever want to meet. Not always my best trait, but I'm a straight shooter.
Yeah.
I don't sugarcoat. What you see is what you get. Really straightforward. And I treat my business like that too. A lot of times agents might think that I'm really tough, but at the end of the day, I don't work for the agent, I work for my client.
Yeah.
So I'm always about protecting them as best we can and always being their advocate and looking out for them the best that we can.
Well, on that note, I saw reading through your bio that you had a very cool system of being able to, not system, but maybe a tactic on how to have difficult conversations. It was the 1 to 10 rule.
Yeah, sure.
Talk about how you use that prior to kind of warming up a conversation that you have to have with somebody.
Yeah. In my business life and my personal life, I use it way more in my business life than my personal. But I mean, you know, when you're sitting with a client, especially with the home seller, and they live in their stuff, and a lot of times you walk in these houses and it is just, oh my, right? You're like, holy cow, what's going to happen here? And you can tell right off the bat what kind of person you're going to be talking to and meeting with, even from just the way they fill out our intake form of telling us about your house, right? You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 me being as honest, frank, and open with you as I possibly can, and 1 me sugarcoating it to a point where I'm lying to you, where do you want me to be? Well, they always say a 10. I want 100% 10. I go, great, then this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to go room by room. We're going to talk about what we need to do to give you guys the best success. I mean, we want to set your product up for the best marketing out there and position it for the best to bring the most amount of people in.
Yeah. You're almost allowing them to brace themselves a little bit. And
get ready.
Because no one's going to say, oh, I just want you to sugarcoat it. Like everyone's going to say, give me the straight truth. And by saying that up front, it's such a good way to frame it for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Occasionally I will use that in my tactics when I'm either talking with my team or other business people. Especially if you know you have to have a hard conversation, it kind of makes me feel better about it because, I mean, nobody likes confrontation. I mean, I hate it.
Yep.
But I also know it's a necessary evil that has to take place at times too, right? So I think like setting that stage to have that is super helpful.
Yeah. Early bird catches the worm.
Yeah.
What does that mantra mean to you?
Yeah. I get up to crack of dawn sometimes. I'm doing a little better with my sleep, which is great. But man, there's some mornings where I wake up 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. It's only because my brain clicks on. You know, as you get older, it happens.
You just wake up naturally?
It's a true story, man. It happens as you get older. It's horrible. And sometimes you just can't fall back to sleep. So I'm just sitting there laying in bed and my brain is clicking on. I'm thinking about the things I have to do. So then I've got my phone. I'm making some notes. And finally I'm like, are you kidding me? Just get up, get some coffee. Let's go sit down. Let's crack it out. It could be 4:30 in the morning. I am firing out emails. And for the longest time, I would just hit send, right? So I'm sending out to my ISA. I'm sending it out to my marketing director. I might be sending it out to our executive admin, whatever it is, our listing coordinator, agents on the team. And I would get just piles of crap when I walked in the office. They're like, what is wrong with you? What, were you up at 3:30 again this morning? I'm like, oh man. So I learned this little cool thing on Gmail called schedule send. So I set it up for 8 a.m. that morning or the next morning, and everybody knows when they get a ton of emails at 8, they're like, well, she was up early.
Yep. The early bird,
but she's being a little smarter. Yeah, but the early bird catches the worm. I mean, I think I learned it in college. It's a learned thing. When is your best time to be productive in a day, right? What's your best time to study? What's your best time to prepare for a listing? When's the best time to prepare to meet with a buyer or to meet with an employee or to interview somebody to join a team? When's the best time for you to have a hard conversation with somebody? You got to have that energy, right?
Yeah. For me, it's actually at nighttime, which I just find that ideas are flowing and I'm productive when the wife goes to sleep and I'm just up on my computer. And I think a lot of people preach waking up early. It doesn't really matter as long as you pick that time during the day when you are productive and you get your stuff done. Because honestly, I like to sleep in a little in the morning, and that's how I am now. Maybe I'll change in the future, but I wish I could wake up at 4 a.m., but I can't do it.
If you don't, do you have children?
Not yet.
Yeah. Well, someday once you do, that will change everything
They'll
in your
train
world.
me to.
Yeah, it will train you. And my kids are old, so it was just something that as when your kids are little, you're up early. You're at their beck and call kind of thing, and it just kind of progressed in my life. I also love to ski, so that entails me getting up at the crack of dawn to get down on the hill because the best snow are first tracks.
That's right.
So that's one of those things. And when I used to be a gym rat, I used to like to get there early too. It gets my endorphins going. It's a great way to start the day. And you're able to just sit down and really crank out some great work.
So do you go to bed super early then?
It depends, but I have no problem laying in bed at 7:30, 8 o'clock. It is like the best.
Yeah.
Just close down the shades, get that air conditioning cranking. We have one of those adjustable beds so the back goes up.
Oh, beautiful.
Right? Just put on our Netflix and
There you
whatever
go.
and just chill. It's amazing.
Do you have any crazy stories throughout your years in real estate? Any one story that is just sticks in your head, lives rent free?
We've often talked about starting the Hilbert Chronicles because seriously, sometimes people will walk in, to one of our team huddles that we have every week, and they will tell us a story, and I'm like, you can't make that crap up. One hysterical one was, and it didn't happen to me, it happened to my husband, but everybody can relate to it. He went into a property in the city that had been vacant and dormant, so the door had not been opened. He had to go in and check it out because he was going to be listing it. And I believe the owner was out of town, whatever it might be. Opened the door, it changed the climate. Well, there was a ton of fleas that were dormant. And when he walked out, he was covered head to toe in fleas. He ran outside. I mean, literally, he was ripping stuff off. Like, it was just disgusting, right? I'm trying to think of anything, me personally. I mean, there's been some wonky, weird things. You can tell when you're showing a house or meeting with a client for the first time if you got bad vibes, right? Like, I went to this house. This guy, it was his parents' house. He was here from Jersey. He's like selling the house for the mom and dad. And I walked in and he was like kind of sleeping on the floor. He was here for the weekend. It was just and it was like, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. There was like 5 empty beer bottles there. So I'm like, is this dude just sitting around drinking beers? And I'm meeting with him. And then he's like, well, let's go up to the attic and check it out. I go, okay. And he's got like a padlock on the door, right? Yeah. And so he unlocks it. He goes, after you. I said, oh, no, you go ahead
first.
of me. Yeah. I'll keep my phone with me, right? Like, you learn those little things, right? Like, you have to go with your sense of where your comfort is.
Because there's wacky people out there.
There's so many wacky people out there, desperate people. I mean, take a look at what's going on in our environment.
Let's talk about the environment, the real estate environment specifically. Where is this Rochester real estate market headed? What is your opinion on everything that's going on?
Booming. I have a business coach. He's out of Phoenix, Arizona, and he coaches a lot of other rainmakers throughout the United States. And for about the past, I'd say 8 to 10 to 12 months, Rochester's been on fire. It's been on fire since COVID. I mean, my Lord, everything just went topsy-turvy, right? And there's so many other markets in the United States where they have literally, it's like a Mack truck hit a wall. Like, they just have come to a dead stop. Homes are sitting on the market for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. I mean, we can't even keep them on the shelf, right? I mean, like, it's just insane what's happening. And I mean, we're still one of the top markets in all of the United States. And I don't necessarily see that coming to an end anytime soon. Some people will disagree with me, and that's all right. I mean, none of us have a crystal ball. I think we have to be aware of what's happening in our climate, especially with an election year upon us.
Yep.
That's going to tell us a lot, right? People are going to get a little bit scared. You still have your people that are at 2 and 3%. They're like, why am I going to sell? Well, let's turn and flip that a bit, right? Like, so what? So you might pay an extra 3 or 4%, but you could maybe make an extra 20 or 30% on your house.
Yep.
So people aren't really flipping how they're thinking about things as far as numbers. So I think it's important when you're meeting with, especially a home seller, that you're sharing with them exactly what their seller net is going to look like based on different sale points and different things that could happen in that transaction for them to really understand what they're leaving on the table.
Sure.
Right? So do I still see multiple offers? Absolutely. Yep. I was noticing some numbers ticking up today in listings, which is great. We've kind of changed our mindset from scarcity, because it is a scarcity of listings. We're changing it more to, this is a great opportunity for us to get out there and get our buyers into these homes and then to go find homes for our buyers as well. So we're doing a lot of canvassing and trying to get a bit of that going as well. We're constantly doing estate work. So meeting with people that are dealing with a family member that has passed away, and now an estate is left to deal with the remnants of a home and the house and what they need to do with that. Back a few years ago, giving them a lifeline and offering them X amount of dollars to just have them take it away was awesome, because it was a great way to build your portfolio. But now there's people out there that are so desperate to buy a house. It blows my mind what people are willing to pay.
Yep.
I listed a property a couple weeks ago in Irondequoit. We had 38 offers, about 180 showings. To me, because I buy and I flip, I knew what my number needed to be in order for it to make sense, right? And it was a number about $100,000 less than what it sold for. Yeah. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
People bought it because they wanted to have family members move into it. So they're going to do the minimum of what they need to do, live in it, and just upgrade it and update it as they live there. So it's pretty incredible.
It is. It's crazy right now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your real estate investing portfolio, flipping houses. Do you own any rentals as well?
Nope.
No rentals?
No rentals. No. I know, isn't that crazy? And me and Chuck, we often like, damn, why didn't we start buying investment properties when we were younger, right? I just started buying and flipping over the past few years.
Yep.
When the opportunity presents itself, I'm able to do it, which is great. I offer a lifeline, right? So like I was just saying, when it's an estate in particular, or somebody that's so upside down financially in their property, that they don't have the money to make the updates and the upgrades that they need to get the home really in a good place to put it on the market. Mm-hmm. I purchased a couple homes with all the contents. Well, actually all 3 of them with all the contents. And 2 of them were almost mini hoarders that lived in the home. It was really sad to see, right? One of them barely had running water. But we were able to take them. We had a crew, and we were able to flip them and do really, really well on them too. So I try to keep a pattern of what I do from flip to flip.
Yeah.
That's not my main emphasis of my business, but it's a great little add-in. Try to do a couple a year if possible.
Yeah.
Because, if you buy it right and you know your numbers, you can make some nice money on
Absolutely.
it for sure.
And you're actually helping the homeowner, right? Giving them that extra option.
Yep. I like to give them 3 options, right? Okay, well, you can put it on the market exactly as it sits right now. You walk away, everything in it, that's that number for somebody else. Mm-hmm. Let's maybe put 20, 30,000 in. Maybe we'll let you pay that at closing, to have the preparations done in the house, and maybe you're going to net this dollar, mm-hmm. right? And then here's your lifeline. And my lifeline is, a percentage off of whatever that might be. I'm going to pay them cash. I'm going to be like, you can close the door, walk away, and never have to be bothered with this property again. It's a significant discount, but most of the time they're like, I want that
convenience
because I can't deal with it. And you know what the biggest stumbling block is? All the stuff in the house. They don't know what to do with it. Mm-hmm. To me, it has 0 value. So it's really easy for me to clear out a house.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for siblings, mom and dad's house or grandma's house, there's just so much sentimental value built into it that they just have a really hard time showing the respect that the deceased person's personal items
sure
that they wanted to
rightfully
have.
so. Yeah.
Absolutely. But so often what we say is like, wow, this is what a life came down to, is just stuff.
So much stuff.
Right? Just so much stuff.
I feel like so much of real estate is just being able to effectively communicate and set expectations, and it's almost just a mental game that you have to have a skill at being able to talk people through and deal with their emotions.
Right.
And
right.
I feel like so many agents get into real estate thinking, okay, I'm going to show some homes and get into it. And they're like, whoa, this is hard. It's really hard.
Right. A big thing that I talk to my team about is put no emotion into the transaction. A lot of times I'll tell my sellers, look, I'm going to allow you to keep the emotion, the sentimental value of your property. I'm coming as a business person looking out for your bottom line and your dollar in your pocketbook. That's all I care about. You have all the emotion. It's that simple, right? So I think you want somebody that's going to be looking out for your best interests as opposed to somebody that's going to be all warm and gushy. And of course, we want to have a warm and gushy relationship, but at the same time, somebody that's going to be looking out for your best interests.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah, there is a lot of emotion that agents attach to the outcome of the transaction. Unfortunately, there's too much emphasis put on that, I think. And I think that's a sign of the times simply because agents are getting beat up.
They're
right?
getting
If
beat
there's
up.
38 offers on a house, only one person's going to eat. That's only one buyer and one agent that won. The other 37 just lost.
Yeah.
Right? And every time you're rating an offer, you're actually doing a job interview.
Sure.
Because you're praying and hoping
Yeah.
you get the job.
Yeah.
Just like you go on a listing appointment. It is a job interview.
Yeah.
And I've said to my team, the ones they're going to eat this year are those that have the listings. It's been like that for the past couple of years. So let's get the listings.
Yeah. So what does your team look like right now? How many agents? What do you guys look like?
We have a full-time marketing director that manages all of how we look amazing and our properties look amazing online, from our website to our social media to our YouTube to our Insta, whatever it is, right? She's genius. I have a full-time ISA. He is our client concierge. His job is to talk to all the leads that come into our world. He gets a vibe and a sense of what they're looking for, and he decides who's going to be best suited to work with them on the team. Things aren't round robin in our world. If somebody is better suited to work with me, they're going to work with me because we want to set them up for success, right? Yep. Everybody on the team understands that. He's also our director of motivation and inspiration.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's amazing. Charles is a coach. He coaches everybody on the team once to twice a month. I coach everybody once a month with a little one-on-one. We do a lot of script and role playing as well. But you could be having the worst day and walk into his office and he will make you feel like $1 million. So he's vital to the success of the team. We have a full-time executive assistant. I love to call her our office ninja. Karina, she is a breath of fresh air. She is so positive. She runs all of our buy-side transactions, and she helps me a lot on the backside organizing things and helping the team keep things organized as well. And then we hired a strategic services coordinator. She's a team concierge. Her name is Nina, and she's managing all of our listings. So she's helping with all the backside of the listings, listing prep, getting things ready to rock and roll, helping organize all of that throughout that transaction, and she runs those transactions. So the main goal for agents on the team are to go out, list and sell properties, bring the contracts back in, repeat, rinse, do it again and again and again. The goal is for them to write and to just keep doing that and not be worried about any of the other
doing their
transactional
best,
stuff on the backside.
Skill. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
You know, and I have a big org chart and a big vision, and I share that with the team every year, and it changes and it shifts. And I always ask them, where can you envision yourself on this chart? Because there's total growth. I don't want anybody to feel like they're pigeonholed in one position, because they're not. There's opportunity for expansion. There's opportunity for commercial. There's opportunity for, you know, building an affiliate program. I mean, there's, you know, an investment program. I mean, there's just so many opportunities, and I'm not afraid to take any of them on. Right? If you have an idea, come with a solution, come with a plan, and let's put it together.
Yeah.
And then there are, let's see, what do we got? 8, 9, or 10 agents on the team that are selling. A couple of them are some of those support as well. And we're always looking for great talent. Always. Always. We just added someone, and I would love to add a few more. You know, there's always room.
All right. Well, if you're listening and you want to be on Tiffany's team.
Yeah.
But no, that is a well-oiled machine, and it goes back to everyone's in their role in this business as a whole and doing their part, and that's what makes everything run, right?
Right. We try to be really transparent, right? You can tell when somebody's having a bad day, give them a moment. A lot of times we'll be like, hey, let's go out and take a walk around the building a couple times, blow off the steam. 5-second rule, right? I mean, you might be having a bad day with a client and you're ready to just blow your stack. Or maybe you're having a bad situation with an agent. I mean, that happens, right? Let's not burn a bridge. Let's just go outside, take a breath.
Breathe.
Let's just breathe. Let's give it a little bit, right? Let's not be reactive. Let's be proactive.
Yeah.
And just try to bring it back, and let's logically think it through.
Yeah, and just the human side of caring about people's emotions like that.
Absolutely.
It's huge.
It's huge.
What's your number one piece of advice for new agents trying to get into the business?
I think a new agent getting in the business right now, don't worry about all the hubbub stuff that's going on, right, with all what NAR has going on, because you don't know any different, right? Like what I've been telling my team, this isn't McDonald's anymore. You're not sitting there with an order pad taking orders. You got to hone your skill. You better train up, learn up, script up, role play, you know, fake till you make if you have to. But you want to be the authority. You need to know that you know your stuff.
Yes.
Right? And I mean, training is everything. You know, if you're getting into this business to make a quick million, it ain't going to happen. I can tell you that right now. Right? I mean, it's going to take a while to get to where you feel you want to be. Right? Like aim high. And I love when you sit with an agent, you're like, well, what's your goal this year? Well, I want to sell 10 mil. And you look at what they did last year. And maybe they did 3 mil.
It's like, how are you going to get there?
How are you going to get there? Like it blows my mind that nobody has shown them how to do that. Like, great, you want to do 10 mil, but what are you going to do different? Because it's all about the activities. Is what you put in is what you get out.
Numbers, right?
It's all numbers, man. It's total numbers game. Like we know exactly how many appointments we have to go on, what our percentage of dropout is, what our percentage of acceptance rate is. Everybody on the team, we track everything, right? They
Yes.
track every single showing with every individual person because I want them to know what the ROI was on that one client.
I love it. Yeah.
Right? Like, okay, you showed them how many houses, how many offers did you write? Everybody knows what their individual acceptance rate is. So if you're only getting offers accepted at 17% and somebody else on the team is at 32%, where's the disconnect? That person that's getting accepted at 32%, they need to be looking at your offers.
So everyone on the team sees these stats?
Oh yeah.
That's
see,
awesome.
You know, we've got team boards, we've got, we use Google Sheets at a really high level, but we also have some other software that we use too. And on my one-on-ones, I dive deep into all those numbers so they really understand it. You know, and if somebody on the team is kind of falling behind, we just put them on a performance improvement program, right? It's a PIP.
Yep.
It's not a punitive thing. It's just something to help them maybe right side the ship and get back to where they want to be.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? And it's not for everybody. Real estate isn't for everybody. And there's nothing wrong with, you know, if you don't want to do it and it's not for you, that's okay.
Yeah.
You know? But I don't want anybody getting into real estate thinking it's going to be this easy ride because it is not at all. And this is a really trying year because last year was tough. I mean, inventory is 20% lower or some crazy number. I always break it up by niche markets. I like to do it by school districts to kind of look at individual zones. But, you know, the numbers are just down.
What school district or town is down the most right now?
I don't have an exact number
No?
for you right now. No,
Okay.
I don't. I did just run some stats for Webster because we just did a quick little podcast on Webster, and it's down 20% over last year. Inventory.
Yep.
Well, families are still growing and they're outgrowing their space and they still need a place to live before school starts. So, you know, there's going to be a lot of people that are just begging and willing to pay whatever they've got to do to get into a house. And cash is not always king. That's a misconception
Not
out
always.
there. It's not always king. There's a lot of great financing programs out there that are way better than cash.
Outside of real estate, what do you do for fun?
Me and my husband have a passion for the water. I'm Aquarius. I'm a big time water person, so I always love to be near it, on it, however I can be. So we've been boaters. We keep our boat at Soda, so we try to spend as much time as we possibly can down there on the boat. It's kind of our floating cottage.
Very nice.
It's a nice little getaway.
I heard you're a pretty badass skier.
Thank you. I have been doing it. Actually, I started in 7th grade, so I kind of started late. But I've been competitively racing. Giant slalom is my go-to. That's what I have perfected in my own mind, right? I'm an old lady on skis. I just love speed. Broken a lot of bones, but I still get up and I keep going. It's just great.
Is there any fear in your mind going down fast hill, or you just like, let's do it still?
No, man, I don't. I've broken, let's say I broke my right leg. I broke my left wrist. I broke my left shoulder. I cracked this bone here. Just this past year, I broke my foot. That was carrying wrapping paper down some stairs, believe it or not.
You got to have a better story than that.
I know, right? I broke my leg ski racing, second gate out of the start.
Oh, God.
It was a bummer. The season was done. But next year, I was right back out there. It doesn't scare me because I've been
That's
doing
good.
it forever. So I love the speed. Like I love the sound, the smell, everything that goes into it. The crunching of the snow underneath my skis, right? I love sitting on a chairlift and talking with people.
Yeah.
It is the best 4 minutes going up the high-speed quad. Love going out west, the sun, the snow. You know, I've raced out west a million times. I mean, when you've been skiing forever, just like in any sport, and if you're competing or whatever it might be and you're out doing it at different places, you always run into people you know. You always do. I always run out to people that I know everywhere I go skiing. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a snowboarder. I get out maybe.
Oh, your dark side.
Well, I'm not very good at all. I get out maybe once a year, and I want to try skiing though. I've heard skiing. I've heard you pick up skiing a little easier than snowboarding. I just got on a board at an early age and never did skiing.
And you know, a lot of people, they get on a board and they never want to ski. Just like I've been on skis forever. I've never gotten on a board.
Never want to try snowboarding?
No. And I think a lot of it is I'm afraid of all that fall thing, right? Like there's a lot of fall, just like in anything when you're learning.
Yeah.
Where I feel like I've perfected a lot of what I do on the snow. So I'm kind of like, I don't feel like learning a new trick.
Sure. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, let's talk about goals for the future. What does the rest of 2024 look like? Do you have certain numbers you want to hit? And what is the next maybe 5 years look like for Team Hilbert?
It's so funny you asked numbers because today we just we revamped our numbers. We never necessarily change our numbers, but when the team shifts, like let's say team members leave or there's a shift on who's doing what on the team, that's when we readjust our numbers. So our unit goal is like 253. We're 42% to our unit and our volume goal, which is amazing, which is
It's right on
super
track,
exciting.
right?
It's right
40,
on track,
yeah.
right. Because 20% of our business is done in quarter 1 and 4, and 30 is done in quarter 3 and 4.
Interesting. Okay.
So it's a 20, 30, 30, 20. So our numbers are they're right in line, which is fantastic. So we're excited about that. As we add new team members, the number will shift and change. I haven't adjusted that goal from our new team member because she doesn't even really know what her goal is yet. So I'm going to meet with her next week so she better understands that. So we're teaching her some new and fun things about goal setting. I have leveraged so much. I used to manage all the listings on our team, which was
It's a lot.
insanity, right? A couple of years ago, I managed 70 or 80 listings in that year. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore. So last year, actually, our mid-year retreat this past year was all about listings. I trained everybody up, and then they all had to do all kinds of training up, and now everybody on the team is managing listings. It's fantastic. So, I manage some listings, whether they're friends, referrals, whatever that might be. In a couple of years, I don't want to be grinding at all. I just kind of want to be that fairy godmother that's out there as a consultative. I'm there when I'm needed. I'm kind of training someone up to kind of take over my role. 5 years, maybe I'll be a grandparent by then if my kids ever decide to have kids. But, I'm definitely not grinding in 5 years. Me and Chuck hopefully will just be floating around. Maybe we'll be down in the Bahamas or, and then I'll be on the snow in the winter. I don't know yet. 5 years, it's a long ways, but it's a really short ways away.
It is, yeah.
Really short.
Yeah. So you got a really cool video series going on called Rochester Revealed.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about what that is and what the goal of that series is?
Yeah. So our marketing director, Rebecca, she's genius.
She's great. I talk to her sometimes.
Right.
She's so friendly.
She's so great. And her ideas are just they're edgy and they're different. It's great to have that, right? Because it's fresh. Because my brain can only do so much, right? And she kind of came up with this idea, let's do this big thing on Rochester Reveal. Let's hire really professional videography. Let's shoot a bunch of video content that we can use. We'll have them pull our first one together, and then we can use all the different clips for different stuff that she can blend and put together with an editor. And so we've done that. And our Rochester Reveal on YouTube, our first one, it's off the hook. It's super fresh.
It's really good.
It's really good. Thank you. Captivate. I got to give them a little plug, man. They're awesome. They're great. And then we did a winter shoot this past winter. We did some on the hill shoots. We did some team doing some different stuff in the snow. So we took a lot of winter footage, and we were able to do a lot of different footage throughout the community. So we have footage to use with different parts of Rochester. So then we're having a lot of different team members do some voiceover to some videos so we can use that to incorporate more video into our channel. It's tough, man. Video is everything. And like I was saying to you earlier, it's you almost need a videographer to follow you around. And really, who can afford that?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
You look at some of these guys, the $1 million listings out on the West Coast. Those guys are insane. I was following a guy, he's got a listing for $113 million. The amount of time, energy, and effort that he's put into this, and God only knows what chances of it selling. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. Just the budget that they have for their listings it's nuts.
It is. It's crazy. Well, go check out that series. It's on YouTube, right?
Right.
On your channel, Team Hilbert. Is that the name of your YouTube channel?
Yep. Rochester Revealed.
Rochester Revealed. And then on Instagram, you're Team Hilbert as well.
Right on.
Where else can people connect with you? Website?
TeamHilbert.com.
TeamHilbert.com.
Yep. So that was a COVID project of our marketing director. It's pretty ingenious, cool what she's done.
Yeah.
You see our super ego of ourselves. So you just kind of mouse over one of our pictures, and for instance, Dan Jones turns into a golfer. I turn into a skier.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. And we've done that into our email signatures too. We're just trying to do all these different little
Show the
things.
personal side of you, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
People
We're definitely, we're grinders. We're hard workers. What you see is what you get. We don't sugarcoat it. Nobody on the team really does, right? That's just who we are.
Yeah.
We want to be as approachable as we possibly can.
Tiffany, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being on. This has
Appreciate
been
it.
awesome. And good luck to the rest of the year with
Thank
2024.
you. And good luck with you and your ventures as well. I can't wait
you.
to see what you guys do. Your office is awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Killing it.
All right, guys, we'll see you in the next episode. Peace.